G Unit. I knew you wasn't gonna miss this one. D's, what up, baby? So y'all know I like to start on time. Welcome to the Positive Impact Podcast, where we talk about all topics pertaining to the game that I love. I am your host, Terrell Dozier. And I was listening to the Steam Room with Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson, and Charles Barkley said that anytime you do something 10 times, it's a success. Well, you guys are tuning into the 10th episode of the Positive Impact Podcast. And I had to bring in a special guest tonight for the 10th episode. So I made a call and I got the OG, one of the OGs in this AAU game, Mr. Gary Charles. There he is. There he is. G, what's going on, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, I was wondering, I said, I wonder what he gonna wear to my thing tonight, because I know he gonna be G'd up. I didn't know if you gonna come out with a tux or whatever, but I knew you was gonna be G'd up though.
That can only be me.
That's it. That is it, man. Thank you so much, man. This is my 10th episode, man, and I needed to have somebody on good, man. And me and you go way back, man, and I respect a lot of the stuff that you've done in this game and paved the way for a lot of people. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just get into it, G, and take me back to the genesis and how this thing got started for you, this game of basketball.
You know what? When I came back home from college, I just wanted to set my way, go on with life. I ended up buying a house within a year after I graduated out of college, and I was working on Wall Street, and I was fine. And then one day, some of the OGs from the neighborhood came to me and said, "Hey, Gary, we were there for you when you were a kid. Now we need you to come and take over and run this basketball program." I couldn't say no. And I ended up getting 200 kids together in town and create a basketball league for them. And then I decided to do an all-star team from that group. So when I first started, it was really just the town of Roseville, okay? Right. And that was fine. But then we ended up going to a tournament down in Delaware. It was called the Delaware Shootout. And we ended up playing a team against a kid by the name of Travis Best. Ooh. Y'all look up that name. Travis, I think, played in the league for like 13 years, but he was just a young guy. But that young guy dropped 44 on us that day. And I'm like, what the blank is going on here? So I started talking to some people, and I found out that this was big-time basketball, AAU it was called. Although it's not really AAU, it's really grassroots basketball, but that's another story.
Right.
And I couldn't get it. Then I go to another tournament, and now I'm seeing other kids. Then I saw a young kid coming in. This kid was young at the time. But the kid walked in. He walked like a pro. He acted like a pro. Then when we started to play, I'm like, yo, I'm not even sure if the kid was like 13 at the time. Played like a pro. The kid's name was Stephon Marbury. All right? And I went to his coach to ask about him, like, who's this kid? And he said, that's Stephon Marbury. And he started telling me a little bit about him. And I said, well, season's over for us. Now, this is early April. We were done because, you know, from Long Island, the suburb, the next sport is baseball. And
Right.
it's so on. All right. And the guy said to me, I never forgot this statement. He said, dude, if you want to be good at this, you got to play basketball 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
That stuck in my mind. But now I realize that here was an opportunity for the kids in Long Island to get scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to up my game.
Right.
Now, at the time, we were being sponsored by PAL.
Mm-hmm.
So PAL would give us a van to ride around. But when I started to get other kids in Long Island, they took the van away.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I'm going to say to you. I was crushed at the time. I understood why they did it because it wasn't part of the rules, but I was crushed. But I've always learned, a long time ago, my dad told me this, always look at the glass half full. Because if one door closes, another door can open up for you. What do you do about it?
Right.
By them closing that door on me, it made me really go out there and now really recruit in Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, Derek Brown, who ended up going to St. John,
Mm-hmm.
all right, told me about a kid named Zena Hamilton, a young kid. And Derek introduced him to me. And I like to tell people a lot of time, Zena took us to the top, but Lamar Odom and Speedy Claxton took us over the top.
Right.
So, but I don't want to forget some of the guys that helped us get there. Mm-hmm. You know, like a kid you and I talked about the other day, Billy Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Billy Owens that went to Syracuse.
Right.
Another Billy Owens.
Billy from Long Beach, man.
From Long Beach. One of my favorite players of all time. So I don't want to forget those guys who helped pave that road. But when we picked up Zenden, man, it's like we kicked the barn doors open. And prior to that, Riverside, the Gauchos, who was kicking my butt all the time, they used to say, what a great guy. He comes in there, comes to the games. He always wears a suit. He's a businessman. He's doing the right thing for these kids. Now, all of a sudden, we started to compete. That mother effer, you know, who does he think he is? All of a sudden, my name got changed, okay? I wasn't the key anymore. I was that mother effer.
Right.
So, but that's when you know you make it. That's when I knew, you know, we were on our way, okay? And we end up, at some point, we picked up another kid by the name of Wally Zerbiak. Mm-hmm. And people don't know, the young people don't know, Wally played in the league for like 15 years. But Wally, I think, might have been the only white kid at ISA. Mm-hmm. And Wally helped us win 3 straight championships. Wally was just banging on everybody.
Yeah.
You know? And he was doing it against the Tim Thomas of the world, the Steph, the Shamgard, and everything else. But Wally was another one that helped, you know, pave the road, okay, to the things that we were able to, you know, to accomplish. But Zenden, though, was the reason that Sonny Vaccaro gave us a contract.
Right.
You know, meeting Sonny really is what took us to, you know, to another level.
So when you met Sonny, like, talk about what that's like. I think everybody, you know, this was back before Nike EYBL and the Under Armour and Adidas. So take us back to that conversation. What is a conversation like when Adidas comes in and says, "Hey, listen, we want to give you apparel and stuff like that"? Kind of explain to everybody what that was like and what it's about.
Just for the record, this was even before Sonny was with Adidas.
Okay.
So Sonny had just gotten fired, so to speak, from Nike. Mm-hmm. And I get a phone call from Howard Garfinkel, you know, another OG, right, from Fox.
Legend, yes, legend.
Legend. And he called me up. He said, "Hey, Gary, there's a gentleman who would like to talk to you." Now, again, this is before cell phones. Mm-hmm. So I just happened to be at home. And I was actually about to take a shower. And I said, who's the man? He said, "Well, have you ever heard of Sonny Vaccaro?" I said, "Yes, I've heard of Sonny. I just heard him on the radio last week, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Okay, he's going to call you." I said, "Fine." I'm like, wow, Sonny Vaccaro's going to call me?
Right.
So I hang up the phone. I'm about to go take my shower. Well, if I can get a foot in, bling, my phone's ringing again. "Hello? Gary Charles, this is Sonny Vaccaro." I looked at the phone like, what the? I was running for 5 minutes. And then he's just going on. "I have a vision. I need to talk to you about some stuff, but I need you to come to the Final Four." Now, before that conversation, Final Four was not on my radar. It's something that you dreamed about at that time. Never thought about it. Right. He said, I need you to come. It was a couple months away. Okay, Sonny. I went out there. It was in Minnesota. I almost froze my behind off, out there. I walk into the hotel, and this is where all the college coaches are staying at. So if you ever been out to the Final Four, all the college coaches are in the lobby all at once. It's like a meat market. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. But through all the college coaches, I saw this guy. It was the biggest head I ever saw in my life. Okay, I couldn't believe it. It was Coach John Thompson. In person. And I was like, wow, John Thompson. But I didn't know what Sonny was, but I said, let me call his room. I called his room. He's upstairs. Tell me to come up. I walked in. He's got a white bathrobe on. And I looked to my right. There was a beautiful white pant. And I'm looking like, what the? So I sit down. He starts to give me his vision. Look, listen. I can't promise you a lot right now, but I have a vision. I'm going to end up with a shoe company somehow. And I want to start a grassroots chain. And you came highly recommended as I should be the first one to be with him. And by the time you finished, he said, young man, are you with me? And he stuck his hand out. So I looked at Sonny. Then I looked at his wife. I looked at Sonny again, and I looked at his wife. And I came back and I said, any man who could get a beautiful woman that looked like this must know what he's doing. And I stuck my hand out and said, let's go. All right. Now, at that time, we were with LA Gear. So people don't even know that. So for the first year, we were wearing LA Gear. Okay. After that, we went to ABCD camp. And for 2 years, it was with Converse. So Converse sponsored ABCD for 2 years. But in the middle of going to Converse for the second year, which was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, Sonny whispered in my ears, we're going with Adidas. I said, what? I said, then what are we doing with Converse? He said, well, shit, I signed a 2-year deal, so we have to do ABCD with Converse. So I said, what does that mean? He said, after the camp, you and I are going to go to meeting together. So we went to a meeting with some of the Adidas people because he wanted to show the Adidas people what the future looked like. And when I walked in there, there's another guy that was there, Anthony Lopez, Felipe Lopez's brother. Okay. And Sonny said, these two guys are going to help us build our future. Those are the words he used. And afterward, he said to me, look, I don't know how much gear you're going to get, but, typically, so for people to understand, you typically get X amount of gear. It might be $25,000 worth of gear. It could be $50,000. It could be $100,000. I think at that particular time, he said, I'm going to give you $25,000, worth of gear. And X amount of dollars for the contract, to get your uniform and to go to events. Now, what people don't know, there was only 3 things Sonny cared about at that time. One was to make sure if you had the right guys, there had to be an ABCD camp. That's one. The second one was he had an event called the Big Time in Las Vegas, okay, which now I'm using that name now in my event in Vegas. I took that over. So that was 2. And 3, if you had a good enough ball player, they better be at the round ball All-American game. Now, at that time, the 2 biggest events were the McDonald's game and the round ball. Mm-hmm. So that was no-brainer. Like a lot of people don't even know that the Paul Pierce, the Kevin Garnett's, Vince Carter all played in the round ball also. Okay, mm-hmm. So that was our mission at that particular time. So that was my connection with Sonny Vaccaro. That's how we met.
Right. Okay. So now they give you. So now you guys are with. You guys go over to Adidas. You guys are running the ABCD camp. Explain the mission behind the ABCD camp to everybody. To everybody who might not know about the ABCD camp.
Okay. So ABCD camp is basically the same way that Nike is doing their things even now, even to this day, which is that you try to get the top 100 best players. Back in those days, there were so many people that wanted to come. We would have 200 kids at ABCD camp. But it was to get the top players across the country. The mission really was, we need to find the next Michael Jordan. At that time, that's what it was.
Right.
We had to find the next Michael Jordan. So that's why we would bring these kids to camp. And then next thing you know, Nike started doing their camp, the Nike camp, and now both of us were battling for that next one.
Right.
That's the mission of ABCD camp.
So you're running ABC Day Camp. You have the Long Island Panthers at the time, right?
That's correct.
And then, which wound up becoming the New York Panthers.
That's correct.
So you talk about Zendon Hamilton. I remember Zendon when he was a freshman and I was a senior, and getting you, like you said, to the top. But then you got this 6'10" kid out of Christ the King that can handle the ball, play inside and out, and then you got this point guard that can jump out the building, and his nickname is Speedy for a reason. Talk about that team, and when you say, started getting kids and started going over the top.
With Zendon, first I'll finish off with Zendon. By having Zendon, now it allowed us to get other guys.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, Zendon was a top 5 player in the country with Felipe, Allen Iverson, Antoine Walker, and I want to say it was Danny Fortson, who went to Cincinnati, went to the pros, okay?
Yeah.
So it opened up the door. I also want to thank Ron LeClario, coach at Cardozo, who's been there for like 105 years.
Yeah.
He wanted to help out a young man to get him exposure. And Ronnie brought this particular young man to the table to play with us. So this was my first kid from the city now, and his name was Skip Tumalu, Ray Falls. Right. All right? So now, by getting Skip on the team, other kids were now, oh, man, I want to get down. So we ended up getting Dwayne Woodward, 40, who's currently the assistant coach at Seton Hall. So we kind of like took off. Now, like you said, we ended up getting Lamar Odom. Someone brought Lamar to the gym who was working out at Foster Laurie in Queens with a bunch of guys. And Lamar would come over. Let me say this. We don't get Lamar without his Aunt Janine.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Janine was almost like she became like my right-hand person, okay? Because, everyone's coming at her. Everyone's coming at Lamar, obviously, right? She said, I'm not messing with no one but Gary Charles. And I will never forget that. Because she said, Gary, when you walked in with a suit on and a briefcase. We hadn't seen that.
Right.
And I gave a straight talk. And she said, well, what can you do, for my nephew? I said, look, I cannot tell you if he's going to be a pro or not. I'm not going to guarantee that. But what I will guarantee you is I will help him become a better man by the time he gets done with us. And I really think that it just spoke to her, to her heart. And Grandma, God bless her soul, she loved me. I was really cool with the whole family. I can't forget my girl, Robin. Robin was Lamar's cousin. She lived there. So anytime I needed to find Lamar, I went to Robin. Robin was my girl. So all of them said to Lamar, this is the man we want you to be with. So that's how we end up with Lamar.
Mm-hmm. And then you brought Speedy in, and then you guys kind of took off.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I don't remember losing too many tournaments with Speedy. All right? I mean, Speedy was unreal. There was a time, and, Riverside don't want to give us the credit, but I'm here to set the record straight, okay, on some stuff. We won 3 tournaments, almost in a week and a half span, so to speak, okay? We were at I-State. We were playing a semifinal game against Shaheen Holloway, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar showed up late. Place is going crazy because we didn't know what was going to happen, and we knew by winning we were going to play Riverside in the championship. Man, at that time, Riverside had Elton Brand, Eric Barkley, the Ron. They were loaded, but we were loaded too. But we don't know what's going to happen because Lamar's not there. And the dudes in the back, they're yelling because they got money on the game, if you know what I mean. Okay.
Right.
All right. So Lamar comes running in, I think like in the middle of the second quarter. Now the place is really going nuts. Because, you know, L's the savior. It's Queen, it's backyard. So I don't play him. I tell him to sit down. We go into the locker room. So my coaching staff says, okay, we're going to be okay now. I think we're up 3. We have L. LO's here. We're going to be all right. So I looked at the guys and I said, I'm not going to play him, man. So Nate Cadigan, who was my first assistant coach at the time, said, Charles, what the hell is wrong with you? What do you mean you're not going to play him? Are you crazy? They're going to shoot you out there. So I'm not playing him, man. I got to teach this kid something. It's got to be more than just basketball. Mm-hmm. It's funny. Lamar and I just talked about that recently because he still remembers. So we go out there. And I'm like, I'm not going to play this kid. But I also knew we couldn't lose the game.
Right.
But I also knew I had Speedy. And Speedy is balling. He's balling. And it never got to me more than 3 points. So I remember one time I called a timeout. And some of the fellas came from the stand, come running to me. Coach, please play Lamar. Coach, I got money on this game. Please. I said, I'm not doing it, fellas. Like, and I didn't know if they were going to whip out a gun or what. But I'm like, not playing.
Right.
And we never lost the lead. So we win the game. Lamar's upset. So he leaves. But at the same time, that night, we had a championship game against Riverside at River State Park. It was going to be the championship. And somebody said to me, you think he's going to show up tonight? I said, we'll see. But I didn't talk to him. But he showed up. He showed up, and he and Speedy put on a show. And we beat Ron Artest, Elton Brand, Eric Barkley, Anthony Glover, Reggie Jesse. We beat him for the championship. The week before, I think it was, the 2 weeks prior to that, maybe it was a couple weeks prior to that, we had beaten them at Portchester. You know, the CYP tournament.
Yeah.
So that's twice. Now, the next day for the championship, Lamar Odom was there 1 hour early.
Yeah, he got on time.
1 hour early. And we win the championship. So we won 3 championships. And matter of fact, there's a picture that's floating with Speedy and Lamar. They were co-MVP, you know, with the trophy. If you remember, I say, man, you got the 7-foot trophy.
The big trophies. Yes.
Big trophy. Covered up my whole face. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's definitely good stuff, man. So talk about, you know, now that your name, you know, the Panthers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Was it easier for you to get kids, or now kids calling you? Were you seeking kids out?
Combination. So at this point now, everyone is calling us about they saw this kid, they saw that kid. Keep in mind, this is before social media, before all these scouts, before any of these things, okay? So people might call me up and say, Gary, you need to go see this kid. I would go see the kid. Or some of my coaches, like Sterling Nunley was one of our guys. He would always say, Gary, man, I just saw another one. But I would always have to go see him because maybe they may not fit the style that I want. You could have been good enough, but maybe it wasn't ready. And here's the other thing. This was before there was a grassroots team on every damn corner. Okay? Right. So I didn't have to sit there and kill myself. I knew people wanted to be with the Panthers at that time. Now at that time, it's still Riverside Gauchos, the Panthers, and Madison Broncos. You know, Doc. Brooklyn, USA. You know, Ziggy was doing his thing in Brooklyn, okay, but we were the teams. So it was a collaboration of things. The phone calls, and sometimes college coaches might call, you know, and fans, just different people, you know, would call and tell me about someone. And as a matter of fact, like St. John was doing that, called me about Wally Zerbiak, my man Ron Ruffles, who was the assistant coach at the time. You know, he told me.
Mm-hmm. So you guys start blowing up. You guys are going out to Vegas. You guys are going out. They had the end of the summer thing out at Loyola Marymount.
Yeah,
in the summertime.
That was the puppy run. The pump. I tell you what. Let me tell you about the pumps, man. Your boy, the pump. Great tournament, but they made sure that their pool consisted of Daffy Duck, Goofy, you know, Bugs Bunny. That's who they were playing. We had to play the dog, the pup.
Yeah, man.
It was the end of the summer, the puppy run tournament. It was called the best of the summer.
Yeah, no, those were good times. So, later on, I remember being at IS8,
Okay.
and I think this was Danny Green's senior year,
Okay. Okay.
and I've never seen so many big kids in my life, and probably personally, one of my favorite Panthers
Uh-huh.
was Derek Character.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Please talk to the people about Derek Character.
Okay. Derek Carter was the #1 player in the country in 8th grade. And at that time, he started off, he was playing with Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a good friend of mine, still is to this day, named Eddie Lau. Eddie Lau was going out with his aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, however Eddie did it, Eddie convinced Derek to come and play with the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Character was an unbelievable player. Derek Character was like 6'9", like 260.
Mm-hmm.
But he was agile enough, though, to go out and hit the threes.
Right.
He was unique.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. He was big time. He
Yes,
really
he was.
big time. So, yeah. That team you saw at ISA was special. Now, think about this. Our point guard was a kid named Doug Wiggins, who went to UConn.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-man, as you said, was Danny Green. Okay? The 3-man was Lance Thomas.
Yeah.
Goes to Duke and then ends up with the Knicks as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
The 4-man was Derek Character.
Mm-hmm.
And the 5-man, who was the 5-man at the time? But I'm trying to remember who the 5-man was. But obviously he was Curtis Kelly. I want to say, I think it was Curtis Kelly. So Derek was the 5. Curtis Kelly was the 4, who also ended up going to UConn. Now,
yep.
On the bench, can't remember my guy's name. We had a kid that ended up going to Jesse Sapp, that mm-hmm. went to Georgetown and led them to the Final Four. He was coming off the bench. But he was another mm-hmm. kid that was coming off the bench at the time.
Yeah.
By the name of Lance Stevenson. He was on the at that time.
Yeah. And
his father kept yelling, because I'm sitting on the side, because I was letting Nate and Mike Moses, who used to coach at Rutgers and went to St. John, coach the team at that time. Mm-hmm. And big stretch. Gary, my son should be starting. My son should be starting. And I'm looking at him like, dude, we're about to win another chip. He's got like 20 more years to go. Okay, he's just going to wait his turn like everybody else. So while we're busy winning, and the place was a zoo, every now I'm busy arguing in the back.
Yes.
About, all right? But I love Stretch. I love this family. I love Lance. People think Lance is crazy, but I never had a problem with Lance, to be honest with you, man. But yeah, that team. But I don't know if you remember who Tiny and them had, because we were playing the Juice All-Stars. And
Tiny always has some horses.
Tiny brought up Michael Beasley.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up late. Thank God he showed up late, because he lit us up for like 30. All right? But Mike was on that team. You're right. That was a hell of a game. And Danny was special. Danny was special.
Danny Green. Yes, yes. And all those big guys on that small court at ISA, it was definitely crazy. So take me back to ABCD, and obviously the names and the stories from ABCD, but obviously one in particular is tell me about when Kobe came to ABCD.
Well, before Kobe came to ABCD, his dad Joe and I had become close. Joe was recruiting one of my players. Joe was the assistant coach at LaSalle at the time, but he kept telling me about his kid. Every time he had a chance to talk to me. So we were at ABCD one time, and he was there as looking at the camps. And I'm looking at the players. And he said to me, "Hey, Gary, can I get my son in camp next year?" I'm like, "I don't see why not. Let me go talk to Sonny." So I said, "Hey, Sonny, Joe Bryant wants his son to come to camp next year." He said, "Jelly Bean?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, my God, he played in my round ball way back when." I said, "Okay." So the following spring, we were playing at events. And we were playing this one particular event called War in the Woods. It was in South Jersey. You went down South Jersey. It's like you were going in the middle of nowhere. All of a sudden, you made a left in the woods. You kept driving for like a quarter mile in the woods. Then all of a sudden, the place opened up. The courts were outside. The guy had 3 courts outside. So we were playing in a tournament outside cement. You know, these days, these kids think like, what are they talking about? They were playing outside.
Right.
Yeah, we were playing
Absolutely.
outside. That's where we was at. Okay? And we're the Panthers. So we're that team. And we're just balling. And we were finished playing. Then Joe would say, Gary, come over to see my son team play. So Kobe was playing for a team called San Ryans, you know, at that time. Kobe would make a shot. Joe would hit me in my ribs, say, did you see that shot? Yeah, man, I saw the shot. Kobe would now call looking at me. Mr. Charles, you see that shot? Yeah, Kobe, I saw it. Come down. Boom, dunk. I get another hit. You see that dunk, Gary? Yeah, I saw that dunk, man. Kobe, come down. You see that dunk? What the hell is this? So that's the way they were at that time. Kobe didn't fear anything.
Right.
He was that guy. And then, of course, I went to Sonny and said, this is a no-brainer. Kobe comes to ABCD, and the rest is history. He just turns it out at that particular time. So at some point, you know, Joe tells me, do you think my son has a chance to get to the league? And that's what started the process of him and I started talking on a regular basis about that, to the point where I would drive out there and then he would drive to my house. Because again, before cell phones, y'all, before cell phones,
right.
So if you get somebody at home, you just didn't get them. Okay? So
right.
we had
to leave a message, man.
Yeah, you gotta leave a message. You know, that type of thing. Matter of fact, he drove to my house one time. I forgot we had a meeting. I didn't find out for 2 weeks. He said, yo, man, you went home. Okay, I said, damn it, my bad, man. I forgot. So, but yeah, man, that's you know, and that's what started Sonny to move into New York. People thought Sonny was moving for Lamar and Felipe. We wanted people to think that it was for Kobe, because now we started to go to Kobe every week. All right, that's what that was for.
Okay, nice. And then talk about the climb of Tracy McGrady at the ABCD camp.
Man, so I'll tell you what's crazy about that. So Lamar Odom comes in. He's the number 1 guy. Now, for those who knows Lamar's a laid-back type of kid. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. That's Lamar. Lamar had a $1 million smile. That's just who he was. But he had a game. So Tracy, no one really knew Tracy, but his grassroots coach asked Sonny if he could put Tracy into the camp. All right? He was down in Florida. And Sonny wasn't sure. But then Sonny got a call from the high school coach down there and said, I don't want you to take Tracy McGrady. He's got some issues. But Pam, how about this? True story now. Pam Vaccaro said to Sonny, no one's going to tell us what to do with our camp. He's in the camp. All right? Pam is powerful, for the record, all right? Very powerful. Okay. Tracy's in the camp. When Tracy comes in the camp, one of the first games against Lamar, he puts on a show. And people asked Lamar, do you know who this kid was? He said, no, but shit, he just told me who he was, though. I'm going to know his name now. Now, for a day or two, I kept seeing it. At least I thought I was seeing it. Because I kept seeing these 2 guys, but their numbers were different. I couldn't understand it. And then at some point, I decided to look in the book to see who this kid was. And I realized I was looking at 2 different kids. Because the other kid was, I don't know if you remember him, was a kid by the name of Stormile Swift. Okay?
Yes.
Stormile Swift was built just like Tracy. Stormile ended up going to the league. Stormile was unbelievable talent. And I'm like, God, I knew I wasn't seeing those 2 different guys. But because Tracy was dunking, just flying all over the place, and Tracy was just unbelievable. And he had one of the most unbelievable dunks you ever want to see. Now, people think that was the number 1 dunk of all time at ABCD, but it wasn't, all right? Because I'm the historian for ABCD. It was number 2. Tracy hates it when I say that, okay? But I said, Tracy, you're number 2 behind Stephon. Now, Kobe was still upset by that, too, because Kobe had a dunk, but he was number 3. So, you know, Kobe really hated that when I told him that.
Right.
Third best. Oh, he would still kill me about that one. But, yeah. But that was Tracy though, and that was the coming out of Tracy McGrady, and he never forgot that. To this day, we're as close as ever. Tracy and I, and Tracy and Sonny. And what people don't know is that's probably Sonny's favorite player of all time, Tracy McGrady.
Okay. That's crazy. All the players that he's seen before.
Tracy McGrady.
So my other story that I got to know about is you got to tell me about Lenny Cook coming to ABCD as the #1 player in the country as a senior. And then this kid from Akron, Ohio comes in and he shows out.
Man. So there's a lot I can tell you about Lenny. Because Lenny had been playing with us for 2 years. Mm-hmm. But it's funny, right before ABCD that year, it was actually, that particular year, we decided to part companies. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason was that I had some other guys who I thought were pretty good. And I just didn't want to deal with Lenny's stuff anymore. So understand that, how about this? The year before, Lenny Cook was the most outstanding player at ABCD. The year before. Mm-hmm. So now, that year, when Lenny was doing his thing, this young man came to me that was working for me at the camp. He was one of our camp counselors. His name was Maverick Carter, LeBron's main guy. Mm-hmm. And Maverick kept telling me, yo, Gee, man, I'm telling you, man, my cousin, he's special. And I'm like, Maverick, what in the hell could you be talking about some goddamn kid in Akron, Ohio? I'm not trying to hear you. He said, Gee, I'm telling you, he's good. I said, okay. So the kid comes the following year. So I'm watching him. I'm like, wow, okay. So every year we would obviously set up some great matchup. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, Gary Caesar was the guy who set up the schedule, and made sure everything worked. Gary did a great job organizing the schedule for the camp. And we had a way of staggering the games to make sure that was the game he's watching. And I'll never forget Sonny coming over, sitting next to me like he always did. He said, which court? And I'm pointed to the right of me. So Sonny always sat to my left or something to my right. But anyway, he's sitting to my left. The game gets started. And to me, the biggest moment was right in the beginning. All right? That was Lenny Cook came down. He dribbled through his legs maybe 7 times. Pap, 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 pap. Bang! And hits the jumper. The place goes crazy. It's New York. It's New York, New Jersey. Of course, you're rooting for Lenny. Place is going crazy, LeBron comes down. What would a kid from New York, what would he typically do after somebody just scored on him? What would he do?
Go right back at him.
Right back at him, right? Not LeBron. LeBron came down and saw open man, boom, and gave him the pass, the right pass. And I looked at Sonny and I said, uh-oh. Because to me at that point, I knew this kid was special. Because he wasn't getting caught up. He was going to play the game that was supposed to be played. By the time the game was over, I think Lenny hits a foul shot to put him up by 2. LeBron comes down. He nails a 3 at the buzzer to win the game. I looked at Sonny. He looked at me. Our eyelid went up because that was our signal to say, we got one.
Right.
Next one. Got one. Okay? And what's crazy is that was the hierarchy of LeBron, and Lenny went downhill after that. So, it's a shame because Lenny was the type of kid, and this is the truth now. When we walked in the court, as far as I'm concerned, we was up 10 points already. Lenny put the fear of God in people. He was that good.
Wow. That's crazy. So at some point you formed an organization. You try to bring some structure to travel basketball and came up with this concept that was known as the GBOA. Talk about why you felt the change was needed at the time. Talk about the GBOA and then what happened with the GBOA.
GBOA, yep, we call it GBOA. I knew looking into the future that we needed to organize ourselves. And the way I helped structure it was to get the top programs from across the country, almost like the mob. Okay, literally like the mob. That's where I got the concept from. Okay, so meaning that when I got Jimmy Salmon, Jersey plays out of Jersey, Mitch Malone out of Texas, Bill Ingram out of Arkansas, and obviously we had to get someone from California. We couldn't get the Pumps because the Pumps, man, the NCAA wanted to kill him. So we had to get someone else, and we ended up getting a guy by the name of Dino Trigona. So Mac Irvin out of Chicago. So we were going on and on and on in that particular state. And it was really, working well. When people heard what we were doing, people were like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. This is amazing. And it started off well. And I said to the guys, look, we're going to need to charge $5, $10, whatever it is, as a fee. And that every tournament across the country, we're going to have to follow G-Ball rules. People loved it because everyone knew we needed structure. So we started doing that. And actually, the Pumps, even Rob Kennedy would call me, Rob Kennedy from Hoop Group. Okay, Gary, here's what we're doing. Because if you didn't get the sanction of G-Boa, some of the top team may not come to you. So that's what we decided as a group that they need to follow our rules. And we also ended up getting, I think it was 3 or 4 guys, college coaches as consultants, advisors, we call them. Jay Wright was one of them. Bill Self was another. Dave Lato was another one. And we had another guy. I can't remember who it was, but that was the concept of G-Boa, was to do that. But at some point, Dino Trigona said, well, why don't we do tournaments and make some money? And I said, guys, that's not what this is for. We can do some regional stuff, but this is really to govern, everyone. All right. But the guys wanted to do something like that. So I decided that, okay, we're going to do regional events because everyone will have the money to travel all over the country. So let's do regional events. So we did one in Atlanta, the Southeast region. We did one in California. We did one in Chicago for the Midwest and one here in New York. Matter of fact, the one in Chicago, I remember Michael Jordan's kids played in that particular region that year. And people loved that concept, at the time. I remember down in Atlanta, that was the first time I ever saw DeMarcus Cousins. The first time I ever saw him play. So we were seeing stars along with Derek Favor was down there, also. But that was not my vision at the time. But the guys wanted to do it because they were making a couple of dollars. But to me, I thought they were shortchanging themselves. Okay, but I was outvoted. Even though I was the president, I wasn't a dictator. I didn't want to be a dictator. So by going that route, I think we short-sighted ourselves. But then what ended up happening is when we got to Vegas to do it, no one wanted to work. So Dinos and I were the ones that was really doing all the work. But remember what I said about glass half full, no matter what. Because they weren't doing anything, it gave Dinos and I the opportunity to create Fab 48.
Right.
That's how that got created. But now, because they didn't follow my game plan, eventually we ran out of money for G-Boa. That's why we stopped. The money ran dry. Right. All right. But a gentleman by the name of Jim Hart, who was the vice president out of Albany City Rock, Nike team.
That's my guy.
You got it. So he went to Nike and said to Nike, you know what? Gary Charles had a great idea. Here's what we did. You should think about that. So what came out of that? EYBL.
Yeah.
EYBL came out of G-Boa. Okay. So some of these guys now, they look back and they said, we screwed up, huh? I said, yeah, you did. Because you gave Dinos and I an opportunity to do something. I said, but I was trying to take all of y'all. I was trying to take all of y'all on the train. So they didn't want to follow, so the train had to leave without y'all.
Right. Nah, no question. No question. So for as long as you've been in the game, what are the biggest changes that you've seen from the time you started to right now?
Parents. When I first started, parents weren't involved. Parents would take my son, get him out of here. Don't want to see him. They weren't involved. And I remember a newspaper writer asked me, well, Gary, what would you like to see change? At that time, I said, you know what? I think parents should really get involved with their kids. They don't really know what's going on out there. They should really get involved. And then maybe 8 to 10 years later, I was asked the same question. I said, what would you like to see change? I'm like, these goddamn parents, man, we need to get rid of them. They're out of control. They're going to a whole nother level. They think every kid is Michael Jordan. Every one of their kids is Michael Jordan. You can't tell them anything different. So I just think that guys went from the purity of the game and enjoying the game to think like, oh, I can make $1, out of this, instead of being there for all the right reason. Okay, because back then, no one was getting paid. We were just playing. Now, and here's the good and the bad. Obviously, with the shoe companies giving money for your traveling, now be cutthroat, because if you didn't get a kid, the shoe company was going to cut your budget off. Right. So guys had to continue to keep stepping their game up. Right. But on the flip side, the shoe companies and the Sonny Vaccaros of the world gave kids opportunity to go places they never been. They would never go to. Opportunity to play against competition in the world. So that's the reason why when you go to NCAA tournaments and you've seen certain teams beat other teams, that's because these kids have been playing against each other, for a couple of years now. They're not scared of, player one. They play them, over and over. So that's the good part that the shoe companies have done, for a lot of kids across the country.
Absolutely. And so you got the Fab 48, and then you changed the name to the Fab 48. Am I right?
Yep, we changed it back to the Las Vegas Big Time. All right, where it originated from. Sonny's name. Right. Sonny and Pam gave us permission to go ahead and change it, and we need to change it because one of our partners is not with us anymore. Dinos. We all agreed that it was time to part companies, so we couldn't keep the name because we all came up with that name, Fab 48, together. So that was the reason for changing the name.
And so the good thing about your tournament is it's kind of after Pete's Jam and all these other, once the sneaker circuit finish up their season, then everybody can shoot out to Vegas for your tournaments, regardless of shoe affiliation, correct?
Yeah, strategically, we picked those dates for a reason, because of what you just said. It didn't interfere with anyone else. And what really makes the Big Time is the fact that kids who haven't had a chance to play maybe against Nike players all year, or Adidas all year, or Under Armour all year, now get the chance to play against each other. And I remember one time Jay Wright said to me, damn, I have to come all the way to Vegas to see Team Takeover out of DC play against DC Premier, which was the Under Armour team. All right? Or Philly Pride, which is an Under Armour team, versus K-Lo, which is Adidas team, and they both out of Philly.
Right.
Or it could be, which I've done, I have the New York Reds play against New Heights. New Heights is Under Armour, and the Reds are Nike. And I purposely do that. Coaches want to see it, and it's exciting. The kids want to do it. So yeah, absolutely. That's our niche, is the opportunity for these kids to play against each other.
Absolutely. I had Keith Stevens on here a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about when Takeover came out there to play Compton Magic.
Oh man. Oh, yeah. Is he still mad?
Yeah, he laughed it off a little bit. He all right. He's all right. He's definitely all right.
But he talked about it, huh? He brought it up.
Yeah. We talked about that a little bit.
He's my man. You know what? One of the best games you ever want to see, and that was truly number one versus number one. Compton Magic obviously was a top Adidas team at the time, and Keith Team Takeover was the number one Nike team, at the time. And that game, I remember, I looked up in the stand, I saw Coach K standing up. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing something here. I got Coach K standing up, to watch the game. And the game went into overtime. All right. And standing overtime is 3 minutes. And I remember running over this, This is a championship, baby. Put 5 minutes up there. This is a real game right here. And those kids played. And obviously Compton Magic got him. But Keith's big man got hurt in that game also. And I do remember that. But I will say this to you. They might have played 10 times. Might have been 5-5. It was, they were that evenly stacked, and both teams were that loaded. And that's when I got a chance to see the kid Evan Mobley, who's special. All right. So yeah, that was special. That was a special game.
Okay, so before we get out of here, I like to put people on the spot here. So, all your years of coaching, you go into the game and you got great teams. Name that player who gave you fits. You didn't know what to do with him, and you try to make all the adjustments, and he was still giving y'all problems. Who was that player?
Yeah, you put me on the spot, man. There's a lot of guys over the years. I've been doing this 30 years, man. There's a lot of guys. We played a game at I State against LeBron James that we won, but I can't say because LeBron was another happy-go-lucky kid at that time. I would say to you, it was two really. Kobe's probably at the top because Kobe, man, he just didn't care. He could love you off the court, but on the court, he had no friends. So it didn't matter what I did. Kobe, couldn't stop Kobe at that point.
Right.
But believe it or not, though, the kid who I really worried about every single time I played him was Carmelo Anthony. Melo just had a way about him. He could go inside, he could go outside, and he'd jerk you here, jerk you to the left. And he had that height in which where it didn't matter who I put on him, man. He was going to get his 28, man. So
absolutely,
Melo put fear in my heart, back then.
No doubt. And if I said, give me a point guard, two guard, give me a starting five from ABCD.
From ABCD? Woo! Okay. But now, here's what I want people to know. It's based on ABCD. It's not based on what they did in the pros. And that's the thing that people...
Nope, this is from the camp.
Right.
This is from the camp.
But, Sonny and I have this conversation all the time that, because he's writing his book, and we talk about players all the time. I said, Sonny, the problem's going to be that the rest of the world may not know who these guys are, so to speak, because all they know is pros.
Right.
All right?
Right.
I know I'm going to get beat up on this no matter what.
I got your back.
But I would say to me, the best point guard that I saw at ABCD was Stephon Marbury.
Okay.
All right? I thought, man, he was special. All right? I would say Kobe would be my two.
Okay.
Now, this one's going to get tricky. So here's the thing. I'm doing this based on the performance at those camps.
All good.
At that time. Not because...
All good.
Because obviously Tracy was unreal, but the kid who I thought was unstoppable that year, his particular year, I was Paul Pierce.
Okay.
So Paul would probably be my three.
Okay.
All right. At the four, I almost forgot somebody. At the four, it was crazy. Jermaine O'Neal was special. There's a kid named Lester Earl.
Yes.
Lester Earl was like the Mandingo Warrior. Just think of, the mailman.
Yeah.
Lester was, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So Lester was right there, but I would, at the four, I would give it to, be honest with you, I might still give it to LO, man.
Okay.
I might give it to LO. You know, Lamar Odom at the 4. I know tomorrow I'm gonna think of. There.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. So it would be LeBron at the 3. That's why I knew I was gonna forget something. See that quickly, I forgot about my boy LeBron. LeBron would be.
All right, so okay, I got LeBron at the 3.
LeBron at the 3. Yeah. Let me say the 5 first. The 5, not even close. To be honest with you, it would have been Greg Oden.
Greg Oden, okay.
All right. People forget Greg Oden was the #1 player picked in the draft, but in front of Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Greg Oden was that good.
Absolutely.
Not, to be honest with you, that's probably the one spot. It's not even close. Greg
Absolutely.
Oden, okay, that's how good he was.
So before you go back to your 4, here's what I got to do. IG is going to kick me off of here in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to end it, and I want you to jump right back on with me so that we can finish this up.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. Everybody, we're gonna jump off, and we're gonna get right back on.